is Iran, when they look at the Straits of Hormuz and what they were able to achieve when they first shut it down on 2 March, just several days after the war began on February 28th. And then we went to a ceasefire several weeks later on April the 8th. They achieved something with that. And that is stuck in their head. They believe this gives them geopolitical advantage over their adversaries, the Gulf states in the region, and also some leverage with the United States. And remember, the MOU, while everything is in the future in the MOU over the 60-day negotiation period and then some, in terms of all things nuclear, ballistic missiles, support for proxies, and the list goes on. But the deal, an agreement that was struck, was over the Strait of Hormuz in the MOU. And that certainly is that it's supposed to be open, all lanes, clear the lanes that are not clear, and no administrative control whatsoever. And here Iran is doing 2 things. One is they're exercising administrative control, and certainly that is prohibited. And what I mean by that, they're telling ships where they can go and when they can go in terms of what lanes. And 2, you have to get Iranian insurance to execute that. That is absolutely prohibited by the MOU. And then obviously violating the ceasefire is what it is, and taking a cargo ship. Now, why did they shoot at that ship? Well, because it was in a lane that they didn't want them to be in, a lane that's much closer to Oman and where U.S. Military forces are. So we're going to have to arm wrestle this out, make certain that they step back. And if they continue to do this, I think a couple of things are going to happen. The president is not going to let this stand. He's been public record explaining exactly where he is on the Straits of Hormuz. The MOU was kind of confusing in the sense, remember what it said? No restrictions during a 60-day period. And then when the 60-day period is over, yes, Oman and the Iranians are going to work out the details in terms of how to administer it to it. Well, that implies a level of control. The president spoke out very pointedly on that and said that's not going to happen. If anybody's going to control the Straits, it's going to be the United States, and we'll actually charge a fee if a fee is appropriate. So this is going to get resolved. Either it'll get resolved and the Iranians will stand down and stop what they're doing, or we will force them to stand down. And step 1 would be put back in place what we were doing when we cleared a lane and we were protecting the ships to go through that one lane that was close to Oman. We were getting 55 ships through there a day. Or, if necessary, go back to Project Freedom, which is we absolutely open the straits physically and keep them open and maintain a presence there to guarantee that that's open.